This week on the Superhuman Podcast.
Younger generation kids are now playing a lot online. That's one of the reasons why that digital asset space and the NFTs becoming more relevant.
How you can manage psychology a bit better with inside of those virtual worlds as opposed to physical.
As you can see, the audience are getting younger and younger, and they're getting more high tech savvy.
All of the soul-crushing work that we've been doing that releases money back into the economy and jobs, they actually have to do something. AI is not a pill that you can swallow.
We trying to aim to provide as just another medium for people to collect.
I imagine part of the design thesis is how do we capture attention for as long as possible so people can remain in those worlds. David Yu is the CEO and founder of VV. David recently won the EY Entrepreneur of the Year award, and his company leads in the space of non-fungible assets and digital art. Today we go deep on NFTs, blockchain, and all things of future digital worlds. I'm keen to get into some non-fungibles today.
Yeah.
Took me, I think, quite a while to figure out how to spell fungible, let alone fully understand what it is. But thanks for joining us. I think it's awesome that we get the opportunity to kind of like just riff on some of these topics. And looking at your history in collectibles, digital assets, and the work that you're doing at VV and the things you're doing on a pretty international scale, we thought we'd get you in. So welcome to the podcast, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Here to understand what non-fungible do you own.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. But you've just come back from Europe, right? Is that right?
Yes, been away nearly 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Pretty big trip.
Yeah, so talk us through the trip and why you were over there, because you were hanging out with some pretty big players and representing what you do.
Yeah, so 2023, I won the New Zealand EY Entrepreneur of the Year award. So I was representing New Zealand at the Monaco World event. I think around 47 country, 52 winners came about. It's like a 3-4 day summit workshop, forums, you network, the judges come, ask you questions. And a lot of team building, really, with other entrepreneurs. I guess for me, the biggest takeaway, being in the industry of what I do in the collectible business, 27 years now, I never really see what other people do. And because you never been in the room with 47 other nations, and they're all different cultures, different languages, different business and different age groups. So you learn a lot. Definitely network a lot. The class of 2024, we have some really amazing talent, and here to share some story.
It's fascinating, that I think we can, as a nation, and maybe as just industry professionals, we kind of get our blinkers on and we kind of go, okay, cool, we're going in the swim lane, and then you look at similar minds that are evolving in different speeds and different angles with different cultures, are approaching the same problems but loads of different angles. And I don't know whether we do enough looking outside of our own territory to kind of make best of that.
Yeah, and I think one of that reason is because New Zealand is just so isolated, and being Kiwi down here, you kind of, if you have some problem, you try to figure it out, the number 8Y effect. Where up in the, in Monaco in Europe, everyone is like 1 to 2 hours away flying. The talent pool, it's crazy. You basically, it's always lit. The idea, the light bulb, if there's a problem, they solve it together.
And that's interesting. You look at that right now, is that the US have got the same talent pool within their states as Europe have within the European continent. And then down in this part of the world, really the Australia, New Zealand talent pool, and then the influx of migrant talent, which has really only opened up over the last couple of years again.
Correct.
Like where you've got the Asian markets with kind of tap into the ANZ market, the three powerhouses, I guess, kind of doing their thing.
Yeah.
With the race of, right now, it's the push for AI dominance between the Europeans and the Americans with Mistral and then OpenAI.
Yeah.
That burgeoning technology that's kind of keeping us all up at night, which is great. But I'm keen to kind of push on what you're doing in collectibles, because if we look back, 2 years ago, non-fungible tokens, NFTs, digital assets, like all of the, push on the crypto exchanges was Now that's right in your sweet spot. So talk me through how that kind of translates to the VV work that you're doing.
Yeah, so being in the gaming collectible, I own the Vagabond games where I bring the tabletop, your Warhammer. Back in the day, you still paint, and you still do paint it. So AI is not going to paint the figures for you.
Yeah. So that's where you originated from, really, in terms
Correct.
of that, like the physical gaming world.
Yeah, and the board and Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering, the Pokemon cards, the Magic, and the Dragon Ball Z. That business continued to flourish because you have new audience coming in as long as you and people love gaming, entertainment gaming, and you probably have seen, and younger generation kids are now playing a lot online, and that's one of the reasons why that digital asset space and the NFTs becoming more relevant is because the new generation understand the tangible asset is also digital, where the OG collectors who buys the basketball cards, they think, well, the only real collectible is something that's tangible. I can feel it. As you can see, the audience are getting younger and younger, and they're getting more high tech savvy. I mean, kids are now looking at iPads in age of even 5, 6. And toy industry, when you think about it, when we were a kid, we were playing G.I. Joe, collecting them up to the age of 8 or 9 or 10. So you can see there's going to be a 3-4 year gap of these toy market that's just disappeared because through electronic iPads and gaming and digital.
That's the fight for attention, I'd imagine, is that it's easy to get consumed by digital attention than it is by physical attention.
Correct.
Mainly based on just dopamine hits from games and how you can manage psychology a bit better with inside of those virtual worlds as opposed to physical.
Yeah. So and because of that, like they so into it, and I just thought, well, wouldn't it be ideal, to solve some of the major problems in digital assets, safeguard storekeeping, the security aspect. As you know, 2016-17, every other article you read about it is really around people being hacked, people's wallets being taken, digital assets being moved to cryptocurrency, the surge of the speculation. When it comes out, there's always going to be people targeting these. And the major idea really came in, myself and my co-founder, Dan, we just go, well, I'm already in the branding gaming business. Wouldn't it be a good idea if we can try to digitalize these? And back then, the most successful case was CryptoKitties. And that's really around the Ethereum blockchain.
Yep.
And we thought, well, people really want, big studio names. And we're VV now today, house brands such as Disney, Marvel, Universal, the DC Warner Brothers characters.
And that's like a distribution right agreement, like a licensing agreement to service their brand and products inside of virtual worlds. Is that kind of the structure?
You are correct. So back in 2017, when we start negotiating the licensing deal, you have to keep in mind this category didn't even exist. IP company really look at it as licensing as either consumable product where you print physical T-shirts, mark, or you're in a digital gaming. So there was never a digital scarcity. And because traditionally you couldn't really have scarcity through digital.
Sure, because it was a royalty-based fee, right?
And now because we could issue them with the provenance using the blockchain technology, it allows licensors to really monetize, digitalize it. But the big question for them was, well, why do we need to digitalize it? I mean, we're happy to make T-shirts, mugs, apparels, what have you not. What VV has provide is a platform where people come and enjoy it. They collect things. They either collect comic books or they collect action figures, and they want to display them. They want to share them around the world. The collectible industry is around $350 billion US a year, but this covers all collectibles. So what we trying to aim to provide is just another medium for people to collect.
In terms of that target addressable market, so like 350 billion, what percentage of that now would be in digital assets versus physical?
I haven't last checked, but I will say it's probably about 15-20%.
Okay, so it's still really early.
digital art has actually been around way before even blockchain was introduced. You used to go to gallery and you see a picture frame up. They used to download it in the memory stick and you plug it home.
Yeah.
And they exist all surrounding us.
But never to a point of providence, or never to the point of like uniqueness, right? Or versioning.
And gaming industry is a major part of that, because people spend thousands of hours playing games and thousands of dollars buying skins and level up. So, the exciting part is really where this NFT and digital collectible industry is going to evolve to. And I always tell people it's really like a byproduct, because at the very forefront of the technology, the underlying technology, where you're going to take these and where you see these things are going to be moving into in the future. Similar to web, when web first came out, and how people don't believe that retail is dead. Why would people want to surf on the internet to buy things? Now is a very common thing. It does take time, and people's life need to get used to it.
Yeah, that's right. Interesting that we talk about digital worlds, and we're talking about brand assets within those digital worlds. Marvel, DC, Disney, some of the brands that you've mentioned. Are you seeing pretty much every brand now start to think in that way? So like Ford, BMW, Ferrari, all the way through to like fashion brands, which are not print. They're not traditional licensee. They're like can you buy trainers, shoes, hats, glasses? Like how far are you seeing it go?
Yeah. Well, we also do Aston Martin, sports car. We have Lamborghini, and the product is not really just a digital image. What we're selling at VV is actually in your phone. You can use the phone to project through AR that Lamborghini, and you can size it 1-to-1. You can open the door, opens up. You can go inside, look at all the chassis and all the dashboards around the car. And on top of it, you can actually push the control button. It will shrink the car back to this normal screen size, and you can drive around it. So you got gaming element on that ownership on top of it.
Are you seeing those assets transfer into different worlds? So for instance, I mean, I'm probably thinking outside the square here, but if I'm in Grand Theft Auto, can I take my Aston Martin, drop it into the game? Like, how far are we away from that portable assets into different worlds?
At 2017, when we wrote the white paper, when we did the pitch to the VC, we told them we envision the world it's going to be interoperable, and I really do believe that it's going to happen, and it won't just happen in one medium, like you say. Mini game application might only fit the purpose of driving cars, or as a fighting game, or as a role playing type of game. What we have started to experience, and we have around 350 people in our beta program in the VVverse. This allows those digital assets to be pulled into that digital world universe for people to try, experience, to build a house. And I really think the future of the metaverse is that there's going to be multiple of them. I don't think there's going to be one that rule them all, like people think. Where I think they need to be designed for a purpose of it. And they already exist. If you look at games like Fortnite or Roblox, kids already are living in these games. They're building things and playing with it. They find that entertaining.
But their social networks exist within them, right?
Yeah.
And actually, interestingly, that I'm kind of probably freaking myself out with how I think about this. And I kind of can't help myself because I work in the tech, but I also try to challenge myself on, okay, this can be good and it can be bad all of the time. These worlds where it's first person, I don't know if you're real. And I don't know if the person next to me is real. And I think this blockchain have a place to play, not just in the physical asset, but in the actual like personality asset of, okay, cool, I'm going to go and build a relationship with you in a virtual world, in my metaverse. I need some proof of authority that you're an actual person, because you're going to know me better than my own thoughts. And like, how does that play out?
So, and this is the segment where I thought, the AI and the blockchain, why is it probably the best use case is when they mirror it up, they interconnect in a way, because apart from the underlay authenticity, now you have the AI to say, well, was that real? Where that data came from? that AI aspect's going to play around our life very differently. It will help the blockchain to save energy because it will have algorithms to bypass a lot of these difficult situations.
Yeah, sure.
And more importantly is it's probably going to train some digital AI of a known player gaming character in that metaverse to learn what you like, to appreciate what you do, and be your best friend. I mean, the world where we're going to be living in 5 to 10 years could be a lot of these machine learning characters running around.
I think it's both a really big opportunity and a scary thought as well. The fact is that there's a potential for individuals to build relationships with technology that are better than any relationship you could have with a human. I think that's a genuine possibility.
Yeah.
And not even possibility, I know it's going to happen.
Yes.
Because you can just feel it. And the reality will be is I think AI will need a chain of authority. And I don't mean authority in terms of direction. I mean in terms of, a chain of authenticity. Like I know I'm interacting with something that's not authentic. I know that, and that's good because I know. But the point when you don't know, it becomes scary because you could be manipulating me to hand over Bitcoin, all kinds of stuff.
Correct. Because you, as human, there's one thing about us is that we have emotions. We're human, so we're emotionally invested in. And then when the machines is just there taking advantage of you, it would be scary. And there'd be bots, right? People be running thousands of these.
Which arguably is where we're at right now, that the worlds that are created, so the virtual worlds, the metaverses, the Roblox of the world, the Fortnite, the gamification worlds where a lot of kids exist, not even kids to be honest, a lot of adults exist in those worlds. I imagine part of the design thesis is how do we capture attention for as long as possible so people can remain in those worlds. But that's a one-to-many situation. Like people go to those worlds. We're now talking about a one-to-one relationship where how do you design the way you interact with me to hold my attention and to ultimately make me do things that I possibly do or don't want to do.
Yes.
What I'm feeling is the blockchain actually surfaces up now that ability to go, you know what, I'm just going to know whether this is real or not based on a chain of authenticity.
Yeah, and 100%. And that's where I think both technology will help authentic each other to ensure the provenance where it's coming from, and where the source is the most.
So how do we defend against that level of crime when you've essentially got an uncontrolled, unpoliced world where there's a free exchange? I mean, I can't imagine there's a fraud officer in these environments.
The beauty around the blockchain side, when they're decentralized, you sort of need to meet that consensus. So, as long as no one's controlling one source to control the whole thing, that because the node will be authenticated, it get passed through, so we'll know if it's real or not.
Let's touch on
that's what that is used for.
Let's touch on the inflection points of some of these technologies then. So 2017, around that point, the investment thesis was put on the table, you took some funding, and then you saw this, progressive hedging and speculation in the blockchain market around which cryptocurrencies were going to rule the world, genuine business applications of blockchain. And I think 2022 was the year for me where things started to become tangible. There were exchanges were far more prevalent. You didn't need to rely on a USB wallet anymore. Like people were pumping a lot more money into these cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin, I think, became the most stable coin out there, and there was definitely a breakaway in terms of Bitcoin we're going to use as almost the baseline currency with the market, and ETH was going to become more of a platform for developing applications on. It looked like there was some relative stability, and then the market kind of deflated, and I feel like the attention of investors at the time was that we don't really know what this thing is. We don't really know what's going on. This technology is too hard to understand. Yet we want to pump money into a system because we want to start to speculate on something again, and we're looking for the next big thing. And AI, I think, kind of ruined the party a little bit. It was. What are your thoughts? Because you went through that journey, right, of attention from investors.
Yeah, I mean, investors are still continue to pour money into good projects in blockchain. Obviously, the biggest problem was the overhype and the overpromise, and people were not able to deliver. And the other issue was that there was just too much speculation and too much easy money. And I think during that period was also that COVID period where everyone's at home, they got nothing else to do, so they got
more cash in their pockets.
And every friend of theirs is pumping some sort of digital coin here and there. So it becomes very buoyant. Like anything else, and you see through the cycle of investments thesis, there's always that bubble, whether it's a share market, gold, or tulips. Many people refer as to a tulip thing. And as of today, many of the greatest investors in the world still don't believe in the cryptocurrency because they think it can easily be disappear or gone, deleted, whatever. But the underlying technology, it's going to be here to stay, and there's a lot of great use case for it. In every commercial, from transportation, could be using blockchain to trace food, if it's real, where it's come from, sourcing medical data. Our birth certificate one day could be on an NFT in a way where that avatar represent me, has all my data when I was born, my weight, and every year as I get through, I get my health checkup. Is basically all built in that. So and then the AI came in a way where, and by the way, AI has been around for a while. People been talking, building AI. If you look at NVIDIA, the GPU chip company, they've been building this for a long time. They didn't just go, we're going to put together the coolest GPU for no reason. And the GPU originally was using for mining and digital coins.
Do you think that's deliberate in terms of where NVIDIA are at, or it's happenstance, the fact that the world is screaming out for compute, for model training, and it just happens they've got some really good GPUs?
I think a couple of major reasons is that the world economy is going through a tough time, and a shaping of people's skill and labor skills. And I think many companies started to look for alternative ways to do things, and they were screaming out for a lot of these, can we automate these process? And this AI thing just, become the big buzzword. But same as metaverse, it was a huge buzzword shortly after blockchain came out. People were talking about, we're going to be living in this digital world, which is really, to me, is really a marketing, because there's no, it's just too early.
Too early because of like the UI, as in like the immersive nature of it is just not quite where we want it to be.
And a lot of time is all around the hardware, right? When we started in 2017, the phone GPU will not even handle the stuff that we're doing. It probably just handles it, but not with the quality that we're getting into. On top of it, the AR kit wasn't even as good what we have today. It's amazing. And now you got wearable devices from Apple, the Pro versions coming out. So, I mean, we're definitely on the right track. And I think all these technology, they're going to work with each other to be part of our life. We talked about it early on. When you open up an Excel sheet or a Word document, you're not going to be thinking, what is this program written on? By the time that blockchain and AI is part of our daily life, we won't even know.
Yeah, which is kind of where we're at for a few workloads right now. Is that there's a lot of predictive work that comes into people's workflows, and they're like, okay, cool. We're just seeing like productivity tools and email prioritization and auto response and all kinds of stuff. But yet in those very, very heavy workloads, as in write me a governmental policy that considers all of these million facts and all these data points. We're not like the big Brunty workloads yet. All possible, but I think it's taking people make change, and it's taking the people to go, okay, cool. All of the soul crushing work that we've been doing that releases money back into the economy and jobs, they actually have to do something. AI is not a pill that you can swallow. Blockchain is not a pill that you can swallow.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it earlier on in terms of, of course, like from a decentralization perspective, of course it makes sense for our birth and death records to be committed to the blockchain for the purposes of authenticity. That's going to take an application lifecycle because there is currently secure databases that do that now, but in a centralized way. And there is really no ROI to move from centralized to decentralized. It's a political angle. It's a customer-driven appetite. So once the appetite rises, someone will do it, or it's just money spent for little commercial gain, I think.
Yeah. So we will, I envision probably the world incoming is that because people talk about what the AI take away jobs, because talent pool, you have all these people now that when they graduated 5-10 years ago, building all these blockchains, technology, AI, what have you, designing the best chip, and they're thinking, well, these guys have no job. I think as we progress in the economy, like any humankind, we will look for new job. When company makes profit, they can save money in one area, they will reinvest in certain other parts. And I think technology through government network needs to, there's a lot of places will require to drive these initiatives, and maybe that will be the time where these data and
the application life cycle starts
to start, and then so AI won't replace it because you still need people to have their application to make it, similar to blockchain. One of the biggest issue when you talk about a lot of these, it seems like a bubble that burst, is because everyone was out there trying to clone another type of Bitcoin or another type of Ethereum, their own protocol. But the purpose of that is they were showing off how fast they can process per second, but they have no real world use. No. And just like AI, you need to have a real world use.
It was also a very fast way to make a lot of money.
Yeah. I remember we certainly didn't raise a lot of money. We seen projects and companies out there raising at insane valuations in multiple billions. There's company raising a couple $100 million for a C round. That's just insane. Certainly, I think AI is going probably through similar. You will see a lot of hot money going in because that's the hot topic, and I guess they also rise because the talks around the AI is actually real because people probably can see. I mean, when you sit in front of your computer, when you type in question to Chat GPT, and it comes out with a beautiful answer, you go, oh my God, this is real.
Magical.
Right?
Yeah.
So it relates to humans a lot because they can see why it will help their job, their life and their career. It will speed things up. But with blockchain, there's more around, where do you use it?
Yeah.
What's in it for me? So the best use case has been speculative in a lot of these digital currencies around.
So it's 2024 right now, and there's been a fundamental shift in the last 5 years, in the last 3 years, in the last 2 years, and specifically within the last 12 months with, I think, two veins of thought. One is artificial intelligence driving hyper-productivity and world change, and then the other is the slow momentum around like digital worlds. Where do you think we're going to be in 5 years' time when it comes to these technologies kind of coming together?
You mean when or?
Yeah, I mean, what does the future look like from your seat, knowing that I think you're the most experienced person I've come across who's got a level of appreciation for both sides of that technology question.
Well, most important is you mentioned earlier about these larger corporations. They are driving into the digital space. If you're a company, a global multinational company, you're not thinking about digitalization and AI, you definitely will be replaced or be behind because, like you mentioned, people are looking for that high performance output, and every company is trying to have their edge. So corporate companies, business-wise, will try to advance themselves as fast as possible, because their output will be maybe cost-saving, energy efficient, or running things much better. From the consumer point of view, in a way, through the blockchain, we'll be able to see traceability going back to some of the major sectors, which is health, which is food, transportations, and anything that needs to require authenticity, because people in 5 year time, in fact, people today, we want to see transparency. We want to ensure that the ingredient that we're eating in is what you say on the packet is what I'm consuming in. And I think the world, as we move, if it's the right, there's no one right word we can use, but people are looking for that transparency. And there's a group of people looking for that decentralized, because they think the governments are controlling that too much. Will be very interesting to see how, when these technology will start to merge together, where's it going to be pulling, or eventually it's probably going to be centralized.
Well, that's interesting, because the notion of centralization right now is back at the large language model provider for the AI perspective. So therefore, it assumes inherent trust in that model provider. But to my knowledge, and this is something that we'll actually get the guys to take a research look at, is that underlying data sovereignty with AI built on top of that would be a fascinating scenario where the blockchain is holding the keys to the data authenticity of where it actually came from, and citing that, and then owning that trust path all the way through to the output of the model.
Yeah.
I've not seen an example of that, which I'll probably need to take a look at.
Yeah. I think that's going to happen eventually, because you have a pool of secure data where, it could be a government type of data. The private key, in a way, the users locked it up and you're requesting it through the encryption. There will be a third type of key where people will be coming in, through AI. It will figure that out what it is, and they will request to have that access. And I think that's where I did put a bit of reading up. I just forgot the word, what that's called. But that's what type of data it will be eventually be used, and the source of truth is what's going to be quite important. But one other major issue is around the privacy, because people in 5 year time will be even more into the privacy data than where we are. Yeah. So there's definitely a lot going to be thinking, and the honest truth is 5 year time. Quantum. We might be sitting here talking about quantum computing, and that will change the game again. Yeah.
Quantum, I think, is a whole. I could spend a whole few hours on that.
Yeah.
As we go, but when the dynamics shift, I mean, even with the work that NVIDIA are doing right now with their current H100 chips, and then moving to their next generation chips next year, they're seeing a 4 or 5 times increase in GPU output. We're just going to see literally like 2,000% increase in the ability of quantum when it hits mass availability. What I understand about that right now is that we're still a million miles away from consumerization of that, and the ability for it to fall into the hands of those that can actually engineer it.
Yeah.
But there are 3 or 4 big commercial players that are in the quantum game, and I imagine the government game is already quite deep into that world, because you get the keys to quantum, you get the keys to encryption, and then the whole world changes overnight, to be honest.
Yeah.
But that's a whole different rabbit hole, and probably one that I don't want to unlock right now. Look, David, this is fascinating. Really appreciate you guys coming on to speak to us. It'd be awesome to stay up to progress with the work that you're doing at VV as well. Congratulations on your EY award. Are you going to go for it again next year? Can you do back to back? Is that a thing?
I don't think you can. The last time I was nominated for the category was actually 2004. Right. So it's actually been 20 years.
Yes. Right. Okay.
So it's always been the back of my head brain thinking, I have a chance to win something, a category. So extremely happy to represent New Zealand. on the
stoked
international
for you
scene.
on that one. Great work on the work that you're doing. I
Thank you.
think the future's bright for you guys. And just thanks for bringing your intelligence to the room and helping us shed some light on all things fungible.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. All good.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.